We hear this all the time.
There are so many updates and tons of community work happening. It's hard to keep up. How do I follow it all?
Here is your answer. Listen to the Gutenberg Changelog.
Well, hello and welcome to our 40th episode of the Gutenberg Changelog podcast. In today's episode, we will talk about full-site editing, the rollout plan, Gutenberg 10.2, and we will have to say goodbye and good luck to co-host Mark Urain. I'm Birgit Pauli-Haag, curator at the Gutenberg Times. For the last time, I'm here with my co-host Mark Urain, designer and core contributor to WordPress. So how are you, Mark?
Hey, Birgit. Oh, wow. Yes. So really good lately. I've been doing so wonderful. I have a long weekend planned in the mountains with the family, and how it's like a fitting ending to my time as co-host with you here on the show. I tell you though, I have thoroughly enjoyed this time with you, and it's been so fun. And I really believe that what we've done here, Birgit, has contributed to like a healthier community that has more knowledge and information up front about what's happening in the WordPress world, especially with the focus of Gutenberg.
Yeah, and I totally agree. But 40 episodes, wow. It's a big thank you to you, Mark, for everything. Yeah, I had a phenomenal time with you, and you have been a wonderful friend. Apart from my husband, you were the next person I saw most often in 2020. Every 2 weeks, I had 2 hours with you. Yeah. So, and I hope we can stay in touch. And if we don't see each other every other week, I'm going to miss you for sure.
Yeah.
You're right. There is a lot of information going out through the Gutenberg changelog. And recently we had some 700 to 800 listeners every week. And that is really cool. And part of it is you.
Yeah, I'm going to miss this. I'll miss you. And yeah, it is time.
It's a good news, bad news kind of thing. The bad news is you leave. The good news is Greg Cholkowski will become the new co-host.
Yes.
Yes, and Greg is a JavaScript developer at Automatic, on loan for the WordPress Gutenberg team since the beginning. And I will introduce him properly during his first show in 2 weeks with the episode 41. So stay tuned, dear listeners. Yeah. So now we get this out of the way.
Well, Greg is going to be fantastic. That guy is so good at everything he does and very on point. He's got so much information that he'll be able to share.
Yeah, I'm having to tap into that knowledge and getting a little bit deeper into some of the developer relationship, how they can take more advantage of the Gutenberg and the block editor and all the scripts that are out there. So it's going to be really good. Yeah. All right.
Right. That takes us to announcements. So
right. Yes.
All right.
Let's go back to Gutenberg then.
March 9th, a third call for testing in the full site editing program went out, post. It was to encourage you to create a fun 404 page without any code. And so the deadline for this particular call for testing is March 23rd. To share your findings with the group and on the post, please leave a comment on that. And if you listen to it after, have a look at the makewordpress.org test site for the summary post, how the call went and what issues were surfaced. And this was Anne that posted this.
Yes, and I'm really looking forward because there are not easy ways to actually create a 404 page now. So this is the first piece that lets you get past whatever you were doing before with a customizer or anything like that. So It's really a new feature to do this with full site editing. I'm looking forward to that. It's my weekend. So, and now that WordPress 5.7 was released last week, and I know 5.7.1 is in the works, the core team started planning for the 5.8 version. Josepha Hayden Chamforsi published 2 posts with additional information about that. So the one is full site editing pre-merge overview with updated timeline for decision making on the prototype, the MVP, and communication rollout for the merge of full site editing into the core software. In a follow-up post, Josepha also shared the core team's early thoughts on 5.8 planning and elaborated on the changes depending if full site editing will be merged or not merged in assembling the release teams will require a different release team. So in short, the team will decide on April 13th or 27th the go, no go for the merge into core for the 5.8 release in July. Yes.
Right.
It was moved a month from June to July. And if it will be pushed to 5.9, it will come out in December 2021. So by the release of Gutenberg 10.5, that's scheduled for April 28th, we should know if it's a go. And there are 6 more weeks to create documentation for end users and tutorials. It's not a lot of time. But of course, we all know what plans happen as soon as they come to reality.
Yeah,
They're going out the window.
How's that team you've been building, Birgit, of documentation writers, right?
Yeah, but it's spotty and how we all find time to do this. But it's a good team. There's Carolina Niemerg is on it, who has a fullsiteediting.com website and volunteers on the theme review team, or is a rep on the theme review team. And then we have Anne, definitely a big force for the full site editing documentation and tutorials. So I think we should be fine. We just kind of need to push a little bit and put some deadlines on it. Yeah, our documentation team sometimes works without deadlines, and then it never happens. Because if it weren't for the last minute, nothing would get done, right? It's kind of what the saying goes, yeah. Yeah, and in preparation of that, Josepha Hayden and Matthias Ventura will be on the next WP briefing episode and discuss some of the questions from the community about full site editing. WP Briefing is a new bi-weekly podcast from the desk of Josepha Hayden Chamforsi. She is the executive director of the WordPress open source project, as you all know. So they are short 10 to 15-minute shows, and I'm glad she's picking up some of the buzz from the community and what's at the forefront. And of course, full site editing is on everybody's mind, maybe. Yeah, so these are all the announcements that I have on the general WordPress news.
Yeah, and that brings us to then the Gutenberg 10.2 release.
Yes.
All right, that went out yesterday, March 17th. Let's see, we've got a link, of course, to what's released in the show notes. Let's jump into the changelog. In the features category, there was one item that was listed, the template part block, adding a category panel. So if you're in a template part block, basically what's going on is the sidebar on your screen where it normally says like post, and it has a tabs for post or block. Now it'll say, the post will say template part or block, right? So you'll have those 2 tabs in your sidebar, which is a nice addition. We talked about last week, or last episode, that they introduced the template tab, I believe, into that sidebar. Was that a couple episodes ago? So now you see the template part identified there. There were about 8 enhancements in this release. I'll go over a few of them. One, adding a check for the button text before rendering the button block. So what was happening there is if you added a button in the block and went to the front end of your site, but you didn't add any text, you saw a big square of color there. You didn't see, it didn't look like a button. There was no text, but it still rendered act as a button. So now it won't render without you typing some text in, which is a nice enhancement. Yeah. The next one I'll mention is adding a columns transform ability for the media and text block. So if you're in the media and text block, oftentimes you see those, that's always a, a media item like an image or video side by side with some text. And so it makes perfect sense that there would be some way to transform that into a 2-column block, right? So that's a good addition. There's a fix for the invert of the gallery gravity, which sounds very futuristic, if you ask me. Yeah, I'm ready to go on that ride. Let's
invert some gravity. Yeah, I'm for it.
Leave it to Johan to come up with some crafty naming for these, right? So what he's doing is you can now switch the gallery. Normally I believe it aligns to the top. All the images kind of align on the top axis, but some might be longer than other images vertically. You can switch that and have them all align along the bottom axis in the grid, allowing the staggering to be at the top of them. Another one is to hide the writing prompt from subsequent empty paragraphs. This has been a big one, Birgit. Like it's been around since the beginning of Gutenberg, I think, is soon as you start hitting enter a lot of times in the editor, you start seeing the placeholder add copy or something, right? Or start writing or click / right? And all these placeholder texts start appearing all over the screen as every time you hit enter. Well, this little fix or enhancement, I should say, reduces that. So it shows the text the first time you do it, but as all the subsequent enters that you do, it doesn't show anything, which is actually very nice. There was one new API. Let's go over this. There's some good amount of text here. Let's see if I can figure this out. For the plugins, add scoping functionality to the plugins API. So the problem was that if you activated a plugin, deactivate it, and activated it again, the plugin sidebar would change position. So not only that, but the block editor's sidebar would not be the default. So when selecting a block, or you wanted to get back to the document setting for your page or post, you needed to look for it in the top toolbar. Now, plugin authors get to scope their plugins, and the editor's overall system is now stacking the plugin sidebars consistently. Sweet. Okay.
Yeah. That was kind of funny that depending on how often you added plugins or not, it would change the order of
right.
On top of things. Yeah.
There were 30 bug fixes in this release. We saw a couple regarding reusable blocks. There are a few regarding the buttons block, a couple on the cover block, on the social icons and links block. So really good work trying to refine those blocks, get those core blocks dialed in.
Yeah, the reusable block experienced some refactor in the newest version. And here what happened was that it crashed sometimes the editor. So they definitely needed to fix that. Yeah, to get that. There was some iffy happenings with the reusable blocks, either in the rendering or when you wanted to edit it, it wouldn't edit right. Okay. And so there are quite a few things.
That's a complex one.
Getting through those issues now.
Let's see, there's adding theme styles in the site editor. So there was a bug with that. That's been fixed. I've got a few others I highlighted. The border radius support. So they fixed the application of 0 radius values, and the gallery block also saw a fixing the crop images setting. So there's a little issue with cropping the images correctly. So when you want to crop all the images in the gallery block, they should all conform to a beautiful grid and aligned appropriately.
Yeah. Cool.
And there was one performance change, reverting the block edit. Let's see, reverting something about the block edit. Avoid memoize block context in favor of use select. So yeah.
So they're gonna take another stab at it.
Yeah.
And until that is done, they took it out. Yeah.
How interesting.
Yeah, we had some. Changelog has about 32 items for the experiments.
Yeah.
Most experiments start with the global styles. Yeah, there were some updates there for not adding sub properties when there are no values in the theme JSON file. So they cleaned that up. Custom link color wasn't applying to the buttons. So they're now making that available. Yeah, it's little things that were updated there. For the full site editing, they added quite a few things to it. They updated tile, description, icon for the post categories and the template parts. Had an infinite recursion problem. It's a fancy way of talking about endless loops.
Yeah.
So now you cannot add a template to a template part, or you cannot add the template part to itself. And that was, I think, the loop. And
Oh, Inception.
yeah, Inception would go deeper and deeper and deeper. And then Leo DiCaprio comes out, right?
Yeah.
It also now prevents clicking on the tag or category links in the site editor. So when you use the query block to put in post information and post meta information, when you would look at it in the preview, and it would create links to the, of course, as you know, to tag archive pages and category archive pages. But if the theme doesn't have archive page available, yeah, it would go to a dead link. So right now that's solved by taking off the link and see what happens then. Then the query block got a few changes. If there are no results on the query block, now the front end doesn't display any results either. It removes the exclusion of the current page ID. That was kind of interesting. And handling missing categories and tags, that's certainly something. And then also allow query block setup with block pattern integration. That was one of the things that I really found would be missing. Yeah, I'm glad that that is now available, and we get to test it, hopefully in a future testing call. The navigation editor and block get some updates as well. The refactored and simplified the navigation block CSS. There's now an editor menu selection drop-down, and you can also rename the menu. These are all attempts to get on feature parity with the current menu editor, so that the navigation screen can make the replacement. And the navigation block is now also can be paired with spacer blocks, which is kind of good. So you get a little bit more control over the distances of things.
That reminds me of customizing the Finder window in Mac OS, right? You can customize the little window icons at the top and add a spacer in there, right? To shift icons. Same sort of thing there. Yeah.
Yeah, similar thing there, yeah. And then there were some updates also to the group block that is now supporting custom border settings. The button block has now the color support. Yeah, I think we talked about this. Has a color support through the block JSON. And then there is a temporary hack to render blocks in the customizer. But as the line item says, it's temporary and it's a hack and it's not going to stay. So, but it's just going to see how it works and what is missing. Yeah, so those are the experiments. There are a few items in there. There was not 32 items that I talked about, but yeah, kind of explore them for yourself. Then there were 15 documentation items. One is that the block variations are now part of the page set about the block API. That was missing. Block variations are now in their own handbook page. And because it's definitely one of the underutilized features to add block variations to core blocks. And then it will also have a contributor section in the documentation now, because multiple people add things to it and have a separate list of who is contributing to that. And there added information about the NPM release types and their schedule, which is important for those who use Gutenberg editor scripts also outside of the editor, maybe for a plugin or for their own custom post types, to know when these scripts are getting updates. And then the docs also have updated the slug for the block-based theme tutorial. If you run into a 404, make it a funny one. So, and then there were a few things that are for code quality. I'm not going to go through them because they're also very 12 items are in there. Thanks, Mark, for putting a number to it. And it's about removing the subheading block and just cleaning up the code and change some around in the block context. The tool sections has 11 items. This is great just-in-time production, Mr. Urain. So there are some scripts. So they forked the jest environment Puppeteer to use Puppeteer core directly and added TypeScript support to the linting command. Talking about TypeScript, there's a whole proposal to add TypeScript to the Gutenberg editor.
Right.
And I just skimmed it, but I will put a link to it into the show notes, because there's definitely for all the developers who are interested in TypeScript to do some comments there instead of using JS docs now, using TypeScript natively. On top of, JavaScript is not going to go away, or Gutenberg will not be automatically now TypeScript. Nothing changes there, but if you want to use TypeScript, you can. And then the tools also, they implemented a bot that goes through the issues that have been, I think, older than 6 months, and help with the triage efforts to automate some of the messaging to the original poster or to the person who created the PR or the issue, to say, okay, is it still an issue? Is there something you still want to work on, to check back with the person who filed it. So
that's happening all on GitHub then.
That's all on GitHub, yeah. There was a proposal out that to actually automatically close stale issues if they haven't been updated after, but that was too abrupt and too unwelcoming. It was felt that it's a little bit rude to people if that's automatically closed, but it helps the triage team to at least surface the stale issues and also at least connect with the original poster on the issue or the PR to check in with them. And making that automation is really very, very helpful to the team.
Yeah, I see 2,825 open issues in Gutenberg right now. So that keeps growing. And I know everybody's so actively trying to keep that number down as much as possible and really looking at stuff. But at times, especially with full site editing, a lot of people and their time are pulled into like exploring things and trying to define how these items get implemented. So issues start piling up during that time.
So Paul Joachim Rundal, he's doing an excellent job on triaging and kind of going also through old issues, and they have regular triage meetings in the core-editor channel. But he also surfaced quite a few relatively old, when I say old, beginning of end of 2018, beginning of 2019 issues, and see if they are still valid and test them through and then close them in collaboration with the original poster. But I can see that having 2,800 of them is really more than anybody would want to do. That's on top of how many? That's 600 and something pull requests that people created, that also need to be reviewed. So it's a lot going on, and it's thrilling that so many people want to contribute to it, and the team that kind of triage that and also have to test it. It's kind of sometimes a little bit overwhelming, but that's a good way to at least get some relief of that.
I agree.
Ping the original person.
Getting them back there.
So this were all the tools I wanted to talk about.
Okay. Well, we're getting into our favorite part, the various category, which has grown significantly. I feel like here, Birgit, we have 52 items in the various category.
And it seems that that's kind of a continuation of the experiments thing at some point.
It is, right? The way some of these are categorized here. I see a whole section for full site editing, which makes me think like, well, why weren't those just added to full site editing under experiments? But I got it. So I won't read out all 52 for y'all, but let's go through a few. The site editor now has a persistent list view, which
Yay.
is very nice. Yeah, right.
Mhm.
You used to click on the toolbar at the top and get this little popover, but now you have a slide out or a sheet that comes out and stays while you navigate things, which is great.
Yeah.
The template part block adds a variation based on areas. Okay, so template part block, I'm looking this one up.
So if you have a header, you can then add variations of headers into into that section.
Oh, that's cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I see it. Let's see, components. The components, we saw a bunch of additions. We saw adding a next button and button group, added a card, a divider, a popover, a tooltip button, a tooltip and shortcut. So a lot of things have been added to the components library. The component system saw some updates as well, adding basic tests for the style system and adding tests for the color utils. A few others like the button block removes the link settings panel. So there was a link settings panel and in the sidebar and it got moved to, there was something that got moved into the advanced panel in that sidebar is now, I think that's what this was.
Yeah.
I saw some others here like updating the visual design of the sidebar menu. So when you're in the site editor and you get that way to navigate on the left-hand side of the screen, some of the design has been redesigned there a little bit. So you're going to see more spacing.
Yeah.
It's much more breathable. The WordPress block styles saw something here. Let's say only load in the editor if a theme opts in. Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
So
these are the WordPress block styles.
yeah.
Yeah.
So you got the theme has to opt in for this. Adding a new overlay text icon now for use with the image block. So if you're in the image block, you're going to see a new icon now that allows you to kind of convert that to an overlay. You can overlay text onto that, which basically is like the cover block.
You pretty much transform it to a cover block. Yeah.
Okay, so this is kind of like another way to convert it to a cover block, I guess, right? Because we already have the transforms.
Yeah.
Okay, just kind of surfacing it more, maybe. Maybe it was probably a popular addition. People want that.
Yeah.
Improve the drop cap behavior, whereas before the drop cap, if you were on like a single line or something, it would kind of get cut off. So they kind of fixed that.
Yeah, it would actually create some
paragraph.
white space for the minimum height of the drop cap. And if you only have a one line paragraph and then the next paragraph wouldn't float around it. Yeah, so it would just go underneath it. Yeah.
That's what it, okay.
Yeah. So, and I like that that's finally coming to the block editor near you.
That's a nice little bit of polish right there.
Yeah.
And the last one I want to talk about under various is the block directory. There's an update search results list UI. The UI basically in the block directory got a little fine tuning. I think it's the review stars are black now, right? Instead of gold. A little tighter interface for the results that show.
But it also gets a new feature is, I don't know when it was, but a few releases earlier, there was a new feature there that, so the problem was that when you search for a block and it found something and you installed it and you searched for it again, then it would only give you those that you already have installed, but you were not able to go back and say, oh, I want to see what else is in the directory for that particular keyword.
Yeah.
The new feature has now a button that says, okay, there are additional blocks available to install, click here. And what comes then, that UI has definitely been changed. Yeah, so you can see the stars that are blockhead and who built it in a little bit of a description section there.
Excellent. Yeah.
Yeah. What doesn't work is the preview, and I'm really sorry about that, but it just doesn't work right now. It doesn't. It's very complicated because there is no screenshot in the plugin that you can kind of pull into somebody's website. It's just, yeah. So that was the changelog for Gutenberg 10.2. Well, thank you. There was a lot of stuff in there, a lot of polish and new features. It's really excellent work with a lot of people.
The team is doing really good work. I agree.
Yeah. So that brings us to the section, what is in active development or what's discussed? to keep update what's in the pipeline, so to speak, and or where our listeners could definitely put your opinions to it. So the first item is global styles, and Andre gave an update in the core editors meeting that the newest mockups on how the sidebar would look for users to manage overall global styles. And of course, we share the issue, and there are quite a few changes in there. And it would really be interesting to see what everybody thinks about it. And then there was another issue there that focused on the infrastructure parts of the global styles that is aimed to be shipped in 5.8 independently from the full site editing UI, even if, so the global styles will make it into 5.8, even if a user is not able to use them, but themes could work with that already. So that is definitely something to look forward to and definitely to comment on.
Right, that's a good addition. I'm glad they're getting that in there. Then there was another discussion around the block pattern transformation, or a lot of work being done there. I should say Nick Sikoris was working on this, keeping on the explorations with block pattern integrations, suggesting patterns for transformations. He's got a proof of concept up there, suggesting block patterns in the block placeholder states. So we kind of talked about this earlier with the query block, Birgit.
Yeah.
And let's see, trying to validate the experimental scope in patterns API. So with all that work going on with the block patterns, Matthias is really looking forward to these transforms plus pattern integration. He mentions that transforms are one of the hidden powers that I'm hopeful we can surface more and better. So yeah, bringing these these patterns, these other patterns into the placeholder is good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
good
definitely. Stuff. And we are still, I'm still hoping that a lot of themes kind of create some block patterns for different sections on a website. Yeah. And so you don't need blocks, you just need block patterns kind of thing. Yeah, so pricing or feature table could be a block pattern rather than a separate block. All right. And then in the full site editing realm for discussion, one issue came up with the testing calls when people that were not on the developer team or something just go through the testing instructions and then try to figure out how this all works. And it was not clear to many of them, are they in an editing a site editor or are they in the block editor? They could, whether one is editing a template or an item of content, was how it's phrased. And there are quite a few videos in there that are very quick, like 6 or 7 seconds, for the various options that could be explored. They look promising, but I think there needs to be a way to have the person that's the first time using it giving a little bit of a better way to wrap their head around what is it that I'm actually doing when I'm changing something. And that's so I really would urge everybody who's interested in full site editing to look at that issue and also comment on it and kind of think through what can go wrong, pretty much, to alert people, the developers, on what still needs to be done on that.
It almost looks, I was watching one of the videos posted by James J. Coster, and he shows how as you click into these regions, right, they kind of separate out from the rest of the page. So if you click into the content or something, and then you click into the template part, right, and they start separating from the other parts of the page or the site. It just reminds me of like a diagram or a Lego diagram. You start pulling out these blocks, right, as you're diving into them, and they get separated out. Really cool animation. Really exciting to look at. But I don't know how usable it is for these first-time users who are coming into this to really understand that. But it might be very helpful.
Yeah. Well, another idea is to actually change the color of the interface. Yeah, the blue button that is an update button or a save button that becomes, or the text kind of changes to a maroon color or something like that when you're in the template parts, and back to blue when you're in the content part. And there
That's
are
good. Yeah.
quite a few interesting ideas there that all need to be validated and thought about.
So then there's one other thing we wanted to talk about was that everyone on the Gutenberg team, especially Pal, Joachim Ramdahl, Hector Prieto, Matthias Ventura, Ari Stathopoulos, like they're working to identify the issues that need to be resolved for this MVP or this prototype that's going to get merged into core, and in regards to full site editing. And so the project board has been created for this on GitHub. It is project board 55, and they are continually kind of updating it with newer issues and work that needs to be done that they're hoping to get in for this. So
yeah, this definitely is going to fill up as we get closer to the go, no go kind of decision. What's in there, can this be solved until, I would say end of May or something like that. When you have a July release, then beta is going to be end of May, kind of 4 weeks, 5 weeks before, or 6 weeks before.
That's
and then you have
quick.
First beta, second beta, third beta, and then you go to release candidate, and they happen every week. So it's getting close.
And with 2,800 issues and 600 PRs, it's they got their work cut out for them. Why is it that I only see 5 items in this board right now?
Right,
5 items.
Yeah, but there are 5 in there already. So.
They just started yesterday too. They're just kind of cleaning.
Right.
Give them a second.
And all of them, all of them, Paul, Hector, Matthias, and Ari, they are in Europe, so they're in a different time zone as well.
Okay. So that's true.
Yeah, and that's the end of the changelog. Just before we started recording, I looked at a few things that just came up today, and I wanted to point them out to the theme developers amongst our listeners. And of those who list actually theme in the repository, there are 2 things that might be of interest to you. Alex Shields posted on Meta the theme test results added to track tickets. Posts were built-in end-to-end testing via the site, the WordPress.org site, or the track site come in, and it's only informative and to help the theme developers to detect the JavaScript errors, for instance, or possible guideline violations before the theme is submitted, so you can kind of see it in track. And another post is from Josefa's high-level post on the next steps on themes and reviews. Remember, there was a previous post where she kind of talks about that, but now there's next steps she had conversations with Matt Molenbeek about, and the themes team, what this would need. And she outlined where the team is heading and what they need to be successful. And she calls for feedback. So if you are a theme developer, and those 2 items will be really interesting for you. And please, contribute with your opinion and help everybody out. There are already opinions there, so you get a head start on that by reading through the posts. Right, and that always, the show notes will be published on the gutenbergtimes.com/podcast. This is episode 40. And if you have questions and suggestions or news you want us to include, send them to changelog@gutenbergtimes.com, and that's changelog@gutenbergtimes.com. So, Mark, this is it. The time to say goodbye. I wish you good luck and hope I'll see you soon again around the WordPress community. And
for sure.
It's
definitely, they get those word camps going again, and this virus passes by hopefully soon. We can all kind of see each other again and have great conversations. Again, Birgit, you've been the best, you really have. And I just so appreciate you and your friendship. And you're such an asset for WordPress, for the people, for the community. It was my honor to work with you on this project.
Ditto, as one would say. Same, all back to you. And I'm I wish you all the best. And thanks for listening, dear listeners. It's for me goodbye in 2 weeks. And thank you, Mark.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye.